All right, so we'll jump right in. Hope everyone's doing okay. Sorry about the delay there for a few minutes. So this week was the most technically dense sprint so far we've had. We had the 13-step pipeline, 10 aggregate tables, the clustering, the LLM summaries. We had we'll look at our pipeline status. Spend 5 minutes looking at that. Then we'll try to allot 40 for demos. I think it's going to be less because we're missing one person's not here, so it should give us less time. And so at the end of the meeting, if there's time, I want to talk a little bit about phase two and what that's looking like going forward, just to give you some context. But yeah. So yeah, we'll spend 40 minutes. Then we'll look at the cost log. We have Langfuse kind of dialed in now, so we don't need to really track this. But I still want everyone to be cognizant of costs. So it's good to look at it and look at the traces and kind of average out what each individual's LLM calls cost per run. Then we'll do a retrospective. Check out our status, and then the week 8 preview is actually going to be modified a little bit as I do some more work today, but we'll look at what's there for now. So for our demo format, we'll follow the same format as we did in week 6. We'll go 10 minutes per pair, show your terminal, show the data, and explain one interesting thing you found. And it's really important just if you can, to show what you have. So we'll do this screen sharing. So here's the pipeline. Wednesday we had 10 of 13 wired. Today we got 12 of 13. The big steps is that Brian and Emilio got the steps 4 and 5 wired, the clustering and snapshot weekly. The step 7 is wired, but there's a persistence bug. The aggregator computes the geo demand but doesn't save the results. It's just a one line fix, but that needs to be done so the results are written to the database. They're just in memory and lost right now. So Anhil and Fabian, I'll go ahead and have you guys jump right in and start. Here's your slide. So just show your dashboard with the data. I actually saw the screenshots, Anhil. It looks great. I saw them in chat. But just for the group and for demo, pull it up, show it here.
I'll go ahead and start off with the aggregates and making sure that everything with the DB related stuff works. And then I'll go ahead and pass off the next 5 minutes to Angel to show the dashboard.
Awesome. Sounds good.
So I'll share my screen now. It's this one. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I already have all the data loaded from the database after you fixed it, Gary. So what I wanted to do first was do the DB check. So I'm just gonna go ahead and search for it here. Oops, there. And you can see that this is actually for the which one was this?
Skill
Oh, the
demand
aggregates
weekly.
for the here. What I wanted to do actually was make sure the data's loaded. Yeah, hold on. It might be up here somewhere. Oh yeah, checking the counts. And you can see that all of the data that we expected from up here is loaded right here. And then, so we don't have to do this. That previous query was this one, the skill demand aggregates, which showed right here. And then to go ahead and to list the weeks that are available in the database, we just run this command to verify the aggregates. And then what this will show is like the Mondays, the weeks that we can extract information from. So for this example, I'll go ahead and do March 30th. And so I'll just copy this command right here. I'm just following the run book with these steps
Yeah.
since this is where it's all documented.
Yep, that's great.
And then I'll just replace this with 2026, March 30th. And then so we verify the aggregates for this week here. Um, and then to verify all four like tables, we'll just go ahead and use this. And I'll put the same date, 3:30. And this will tell us like if everything passes. And what it shows the pass right here. So true the for the skill, uh true for the tools, the true for skill velocity, and for skill co-occurrence, it's also true.
Awesome. That's great.
And
Yep.
to verify that the four PyTest files or four modules pass, there's a PyTest. So this will test the co-occurrence, um, demand weekly, analytics agent, which are all the tests that we wrote. And so we should see that they all pass. There. Yeah, and oh, also with the verifying the analytics aggregates, there's an only flag. So if you only want to test velocity and co-occurrence, you could just put this only flag right here with the velocity, comma co-occurrence. And same thing with skills tools. So if I run this, you'll just get the results for um,
Nice.
the tools and the skills.
And the only I could, it's a mismatch. I can mix and match and look at which ones I want to see, right? Like if I wanted to look at skills and another thing other than tools, it's not kind of a, yeah, like a silly question, but it's just kind of
Yeah,
confirming.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can. You can mix and match it. Yeah. So if you want, I could put tools and then co-occurrence. Hope I spelled that right.
I think it's too cool. It worked.
And then so tools and skills obviously have to run first before velocity and co-occurrence. So that's why I put tools first. Because we have the pipeline steps 2, 3, 8, and 9. And I think from here that was it for me. This just showed that the models work. So Angel can go ahead and take over from here.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
I'm sharing my screen. Can everyone see it?
Yes. Seeing the infinite Discord screen right now.
Cool. Okay, so this is cursor. All you have to do to get the app running is just like normal Streamlit run agents dashboard app.py, and then you just go to localhost. Okay. All I did really was work on this, the weekly insights page. I did some reiteration, so maybe I could update the screenshots I provide in the chat. But we can do a report per week. We can check with all the weeks that we have so far, check different weeks. And then we can look at the data relative to that week. So we wanted to work on the posting count and just look at which ones are the top 20 have been posted. I had this done after I had this done. So once you can see like the actual rows, then we can make a graph out of it. And then we can also just like, if you wanted to see more, you can just go down here and sort based on any of these things. I did a bit more. I tried to do this looks nicer in a different week. Let's see. here.
The
Do
spark
weekly
lines. Yeah.
demand. Yeah, based on the spark lines. You can scroll through these. Also here you can do an individual one. Um,
I can't see the text on the row on the left hand side. Can you just
yeah,
describe that a little
yeah.
bit?
I was trying to make this like be larger, but it's based on like what the value is. So 1, 2, 3 for this one. 1, 2, and then gets to 3 from this date to this date. But I was trying to iterate through making this look better. I kind of stopped somewhere towards the end. Um, it's just like the intervals at which the demand for like this is going up. So here you see a difference going from 1 to 3, and then here we see a difference going from 0 to 20.
Gotcha.
So it goes up
Yep.
much faster. I was trying to make them like overlap, but it looked really messy, so I went back one step and I just stuck to this for like this current implementation. Um, Maybe we can reiterate on this later. Um, this is the best I got before. More like this over here in the corner. It got like this, and nothing was as like as clean as what it is right now.
So the labels on the
The
right,
same,
they're just all overlapping, right? That's why it looks like all jarbled like that.
yeah,
It's they're long and
yeah, yeah.
overlapping. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to make it cleaner and it got worse, so I stopped at this.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so, what should the labels on the right say? Is that the skills, the actual skill name?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it skills and I think it was like a few extra information per skill, but it kept being jumbled up and I was having this be like moved further to the middle. The spark lines would be shorter in space, but then there would be more space for the text itself. Uh, yeah, this could definitely be like put a little bit
I
more
wonder if we
more
could
effort
make it
in.
like a tooltip where you hover over the spark line and then the tooltip shows what each one is.
Well, we have this maybe full screen. No, it stays the same size.
You know what I'm saying though?
Full
Like
screen.
it's so it already has a like skill problem solving, skill REST APIs, and that I gotcha. So like
Hmm.
maybe just because it's so cluttered on the side and it can't be, it's so much information, it's too dense to show on the side there. Maybe just get rid of that altogether and rely on the tooltip. Might be.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe this tooltip could be like expand here instead of expand over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. All of them, I kept the tables like right under. I just opened them up. Here, this is the extra thing I tried to do last night. I had this originally as the screenshots I provided. Just the tables, a kind of a bar graph, a horizontal bar graph, and then more of the tables. But we had in the GitHub issue, it said like specifically a heat map, so we can compare like Android SDK to the rest of what is um, just concurrent heat map for all the skills.
Yep.
And yeah, the tooltip can also see more skill, and then the co-postings, and then have this over here, higher co-posting, lower co-posting, darker color, lighter color. This, I don't know if that's okay. I just picked the colors. I kept going with blue. It seemed more
Yeah, it doesn't matter
easy to
too
look at.
much. Not to interrupt your demo, you're doing great, but just for context too, like this data, we're just kind of doing a proof of concept. We wanted LLM to be able to interpret this, so given this data to an agent, so it could understand and like respond back to an actual consumer, right? This is this proof of concept that everything's there and it's all working good, right? So we know that when we connect this up and it's getting context, it could look at this information itself, right, and see it, so it could draw things from the context and not hallucinate. So the colors and stuff, I don't think super matter too much. I'll be more on on the phase two, which we'll talk about at the end of this a little bit. But yeah, this is looking great. So
Okay. And then the last thing was just having stubs for other graphs that we've yet to get data for. Um, it tries to grab the data, but clearly it's not there, so we just leave like this little message. This is not available yet. And then more to come when we actually have it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
So
pretty
ideally,
much it.
when we merge everything together, we could run the Streamlit app, and then the data will show up there. Ideally, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool.
Okay. Is there any questions?
Yes, I'm just curious. It's a legitimate curious question, but it's my probing question that's on the slide, the first one. I ask, how did the skills extraction bug affect aggregate output? And with using the agents, did it affect it at all, or did it just know what it would need to build and you could just work around it with the bug? And that might be more for Fabian. I'm not sure which one of you worked on that, but I think it might have been Fabian.
Yeah, the way that it affected us is it just showed zero rows that we were able to extract. So with the skills missing, we weren't able to really like get anything useful for the extracted intelligence.
Yeah, so you couldn't really test your code, but you kind of just assumed it was all working fine, and then when it was fixed, there was no changes you needed to do then, or did it work? Did it work out of the box?
I think I used a little. So in order to make sure that it worked before we got the real data, I just had 10 JSON objects for testing it. And then, so once, sure enough, whenever we did get the testing data or the database data loaded from you, there's just a few errors that was tweaking with me, but it wasn't as much as it would have been probably.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. That's good to know. I wasn't blocking because I felt bad because I'm like, man, you guys keep getting blocked on stuff every week. So I was like, hopefully did it like. I know you worked a lot in the weekend over the weekend, and then we're kind of stalled for the beginning of the week. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, things look really good. Thank you both.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So next we'll go with Fatima and Nestor.
Yes, I can share my screen.
Okay. And before you guys get started, too, I don't know. I created an issue. I don't know if you seen it, but it was that the geo demand weekly persistent bug. I just made it as a carry forward. Seems how we're starting new week tomorrow, but that it just needs to add the session dot add all. So geo man the geo demand weekly is persistent, so it's actually saved to the database.
Right. Yes. So, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was talking, you guys couldn't hear me.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I was in charge of the minimum data guard and the sector summary. So the weekly sector summary. So these were so for the minimum data guard. So as we said, we need at least 50 records so we can process them. And I'm just testing here that if we don't have them, the pipeline doesn't continue. And yeah, well, that's pretty much for the data guard. And then for the weekly summary, so it's aggregating records by sector. So it's trying to group them, and we need to have at least 5 of each record, so they're represented in the table. For the purposes of this demo, I had to reduce that like to 2 because didn't have enough records. But these are also the tests for the sector summary. And as we were talking yesterday, I had to also, so I did write a script to run the analytics pipeline, but I was bypassing just using like the force
I see the force
of tagging
flag.
here.
Yep. I see that.
Right, yeah, I meant flag, sorry. just to bypass the data guard, so we could do that. And well, also I was also skipping some of the other steps that were not in our bench, so we could see something. Um, and well, yeah. So I did create the table to the sector summary weekly table to see if it was grouping them, and these were the results that I got. I did not have enough records to like show more, but this works as a proof of concept. Just that we're grouping, but by sector. I was talking to Gary, and I found like a small bug in the agents pipeline for enrichment, which was giving me some issues. And also, I think there's another issue with date posted from normalized jobs that I just found. So I might need to look a little bit deeper into that because I need the date posted to get better results for the aggregation of
Yeah,
the
will you create an
different.
issue on the repo? Let's create an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then just tag
Yes.
me in Discord when you create it, so I'm aware it's there.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
Yes, but this is pretty much what was my part of the uh part of the problem for this week.
Yeah,
Not sure if
awesome.
there's
So yeah,
any
so
questions.
when we plug this in, this will the in theory the Streamlit app will show like these counts, but actually be richer because I'll have all the sectors, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, it should. If it has all the information as I said, because here just the day posted was giving me some issues also at the end, but as of now it is grouping by sector and also the unknown, which means that the LLM couldn't like figure out which sector it was and just put it as unknown. So
Yeah, it might be
yeah.
another fix. We needed to do like a backfill or something if something was marked unknown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
No, Fatima, do you have no? Not right now. Does Fatima have anything that she could share?
Uh, I'm not sure if she has the queries for her table. I'm not sure if, as you mentioned, they were not persisting. So
Yeah. Fatima, can you hear me?
She might be having issues with her mic.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I see she's not muted, so. Oh, she's typing right now. Okay. Here, let's give her a second. She's having mic issues.
one question, Gary, for what I shared with you earlier about the bug in the enrichment pipeline, I was just confused if that was actually a problem or was I just missing something?
Yeah, so we should. Oh, what was it? It was a sector ID is what you should be mapping to, and then so you that fix I had you do was correct. But there's also a bug.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, there's
okay.
and I created an issue, and I think I can assign that to Fatima because it was in her. I used the get annotations to see where the code was at, and then so I just assigned it to Fatima because it was in her code with an issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it worked. Thank
Yeah.
God. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I can share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
It's loading up right now. If I could confirm. Yes. Yep.
So I have the terminal and then the editor. So I was in charge of pipeline steps 1, 6, and 7. And on this side, I just run the tests. And as we can see, they all work. And here's the code for it.
Okay. Awesome.
And then just to confirm, sorry, not there. We also have them here. Then I also have the sector summary, which should be.
For the sake of demo, can you just summarize what steps 1, 6, and 7 are? So
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
So, from my understanding, step 7 would be that we check if there's at least 50 new job postings, and if not, then we just skip. And
Yep.
then, so it rejects low counts and only proceeds when the threshold is met.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Just someone's watching, like business team is watching the demo and they just hear steps 1, 6, and 7. It's not shown on the screen that it's not a test. It's just to share context with any people watch this in the future. Yeah.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
And then, so step 7, it groups jobs posting by the Nike sector, and it computes weekly counts and salary percentiles for each sector. And then for step 7, it is the same but grouped by the borderplex subregion. And from that we can see which one has the highest job demand week over the week, sorry.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean I had all the tests passing from my task. I don't know if you want to look at any files specifically. It's not working. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. While we're waiting, real quick, I just want to say, so I noticed because we're like the stubs have been built out for each thing and everything's stubbed, right? Like we're kind of working week by week. We're working through and like building out the stubs logic. But what I found is that the agents are having a hard time of rewriting that to go into the database, and they just do it in memory and think it's good enough because that's how it was before. So there needs to be specific instruction given that data must persist in the database. So when you're doing your tasks, it's really important to say that, because I feel like it's kind of come up the last couple of weeks as something that will be like everything will seem good, and then we can look at the data and something's not persisted as a consistent pattern. Like it just shows up in little niche areas, but it's good just to state that explicitly too, so that way it realizes it's not trying to conform to the pattern that's there, because we're actually changing it from writing to saving to memory or writing to a JSON to actually saving the database. And it probably differs because it just takes a simple path. Because it's more complex, you might need to add like tables to the migrations.py, and models might need to be created, so it just goes the easier route. But those are steps that need to be done if they don't exist. So that way, we could track data. But I just wanted to share that real quick because it's come up in a couple other things too across groups over the last couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working, but right here I have the tests for the data guard.
Okay. And so what you're trying to show us is if it was working, what would we see?
Yeah, the code. If it loads, I can just put a screenshot on the chat if you'd like. Yeah, it's here. Just since it's from the terminal, it's a little hard to read
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah,
at first.
I'm impressed that you work in the terminal. Like I had just a personal preference thing, I guess, but I just couldn't do it. I need an ID and color syntax and stuff for myself.
Yeah, I think I just got used to it, but yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Then yeah. Okay. And then I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. So just a couple. So yesterday, I know that you guys shared the salary percentile helper with Brian and Emilio. And this is a question for all four of you. Are those that are involved? I think Fatima is the one that shared the hash, but cherry picking that works much better than trying to like share code like in a chat or something, right? Did that work out smoothly?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because that's great too. Because then it's like verifies it's there, and so like going forward too, it's kind of like a just to refine our process a bit. When you work in collaboratively and someone needs a function you're writing, it's a good idea to write that function in your like dependent code on that function, like as one commit. So then that person you could just get the hash and say, hey, cherry pick this into your branch, and then they'll get everything that's needed for that from your branch. But yeah, and then when we merge together, when we do that, version control keeps track of that hash for that commit and says, oh, they already got this, and there won't be a conflict or anything unless it's modified. But yeah, cool, awesome. Thanks, Fatima and Nestor. Next, we'll do Brian and Emilio.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick.
Yep, let me pull up the slide real quick just while you're getting things. Yeah, it's for you. So if we can see the cluster labels, the emergence detections, and like the roll snapshot output, that'd be great. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me start by giving some context. So basically what we built was the canonical role clustering step for the analytics agent. The goal was to take hundreds of job postings, all with different titles, different wording, and group them into meaningful role categories, right? Using unsupervised machine learning. So basically what we built was a clustering pipeline with embeddings, HTTP scan, and persistence, right? How we tested, we ran this against 598 real enriched postings from the database. These are postings that pass extraction, dedupe, and spam filters. And what the algorithm found was 7 canonical roles. The first one was Linux system engineer, 45 postings, top skills, infrastructure as code, Linux admin, RSGL, for tools, Linux, Ansible, AWS, and the median salary for that one would be 125K annually. The second canonical role was full stack software engineer, 30 postings, Java or Spring Stack, and the median salary for that one would be 125K as well. Third one, data analytics engineer, 29 postings, ETL, data modeling, SQL, Snowflake. For the median salary for that one would be 85K annually. We also have a mobile application developer, 27 postings. For the top skills, it was a Swift, Kotlin, Objective-C, clean separation from web developers, right? The fifth one, AI or ML researcher, 26 postings, machine learning, LLMs, deep learning, PyTorch dominates over TensorFlow. The median salary for that one was 140K. And Pi95 hits 312K per year. That's the premium for senior research roles. The sixth role was robotics engineer, 20 postings, both software robotics and industrial automation, with a median salary of 108K annually. The last one was site reliability engineer, 19 postings, tools, Terraform, Kubernetes, incident response, with the highest median at 195K per year. These clusters actually make sense. They're cleanly separated from the Linux or infra cluster. One is about operations and observability. The other is about system administration, right, and security. The AI and ML cluster has zero overlap with data engineering. That's good. Mobile cluster has no web front-end contamination. That tells us that the embeddings and the algorithm are working perfectly. One interesting finding that we get to was that Python appears in all 7 clusters. AWS appears in 6 out of 7. These are table stake skills that every role wants them, right? They don't differentiate roles. What differentiate is the combination, which is Python plus PyTorch for AI researcher, or Python plus Terraform plus Kubernetes for SRE, or Python plus Ansible plus Linux for infrastructure engineer. What else? About the noise and emergence, about 64% of postings ended up as noise. That sounds high, but it's expected with the HTTP scan on a diverse data set of only 600 postings. We're gonna need more. Those noise postings are real jobs, DevOps engineer, product manager, UX designers. They just don't have enough similar postings yet to form their own cluster. But with a larger data set, let's say I would say 2,000 plus, we will expect more clusters to emerge. We also built the emergence detection system. It looks at noise postings and asks, is this actually a new role type forming? And it checks for the quality and how multiple employers posting are similar to the jobs. Right now, it found 0 candidates, which is correct. The noise postings have skill overlap with existing clusters, but when the pipeline starts ingesting more specialized roles, this is how we will detect genuinely new role categories appearing in the market. I don't know if Emilio wants to show the actual table of the database so we can prove.
Yes. So first of all PyTests pass. We can see the agent's health and the various functions it needs to pass. All of them passed, and right now I am currently ingesting more jobs over here. But since for the sake of the demo, I lowered the minimum. Where is it? The minimum features from 500 to 50 over here for the batch size. As expected, since it's only since there was only 50 that we could use or that I could use right now, all of them went into noise. But we can see that the agent is running as correctly. It's showing the event types, the different features loaded, how many were eligible for clusters, and it'll since none of them were since a lot of them were noise, none of them were inputted into the database, but that's expected since we're using right now 50, and after I'm expecting this to end in around I'll say like an hour hopefully, and I'll share the newest insights when that's done.
Okay, great. I have one question going back to the canonical roles. Can we? I don't know if we want to switch back because you got it here right here too. Can you scroll back up to canonical roles? I think it's
Yes.
just
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. So the footnote here, mobile developer median reflects incomplete salary normalization. So I think this is actually worth opening an issue for. So we should convert a normalization. Anything that's hourly rates, we should convert to an annual just by doing the math on it, right? So that way, downstream when we're doing this, everything kind of follows the same way. So that's another thing to open it, like an open issue on, just so we could have more like standardized data, you know?
That is
Should
actually.
we?
And then
Oh, sorry.
about. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Don't worry.
Oh no, I was just asking. Should we follow the standard 40 hours
Yeah. When you
per week? Okay.
when they post jobs like that, that's what they do. They just follow the standard. So yeah, 40-hour work weeks, 52 weeks a year.
Yeah, actually, we do have a sub issue with the salary data. Only about 32% of our cluster postings have salary ranges. So that would be an option that I issue. I don't know why many gazers postings simply don't include the salary information.
Because they want to negotiate. It was only like some states require it, like Washington State requires them to post the salary, but some states don't. So it across.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Go
what I
ahead.
was thinking, in a future iteration, we could enrich with the BLS wage data to fill that gap, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Especially when these canonical roles, right, as we're coming in, because it's more of a generalizing across. And I think this is some of the most interesting, like analytical, like statistics right here is like what this HDB scan can do across like a large data set, and really get like a clean look at emerging roles and what's popular. And I really like how it shows. I think it's valuable the skills. Just as I look at it from as a job seeker's perspective. Like if I could say, what should I learn next as I'm getting out of school, and I can see, oh, all these skills are like cross discipline. That any job I get is going to most likely require Python and infrastructure as code. I should probably learn about those in my off time, to make myself more valuable. That's the kind of stuff I like to see when I look at this data. So, yeah, really cool.
Any more questions? Okay. Well, let me stop.
Yeah, actually, just on the probe questions, I know for sake of time, I just want to ask one, but what changed when you reran clustering with the fixed skills extraction data? Like, was it a huge difference, or did you run it? You didn't run it until after the skills were already fixed, correct? Like you didn't run it prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I was
So
thinking you
it
guys.
did make a difference. Skills coverage hit 100% for the 598 loaded postings versus 0% before the infrastructure fix. So, and then for embedding, so basically what changed is the HTTPD scan assignments, the cluster shapes, and which title is dominant per cluster, right? So that helped us on that as well. So it was just it wasn't just a fix to fill a column. Basically, it changed the whole semantic input to the embeddings. So clustering and labelings are grounded in real skill signal instead of empty or missing skills from the fixtures.
So awesome. So another question I have actually is the 63.8% noise rate. Like I pulled that right from your findings right on the slide, is expected at this data volume. But what is like if we had a really high volume from your readings? Did you guys determine what like an acceptable like signal is for noise rate? Like what is a good noise rate? Like what should we try to strive towards?
We I honestly personally did not come up with the average noise rate that will be correct, but that noise rate will drop as we ingest more data, right? So I would say maybe less than 40% noise rate would be awesome, would be acceptable.
Awesome. And it's just kind of, and this is me like kind of probing and understanding a little bit too. But is noise rate just basically just like a byproduct of the stats? Like there's not really a good or bad because it just shows that there's a lot of variation in our data set that you can't really cluster it efficiently, and that's just kind of indicating that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very diverse data set, that one we have.
Yeah. So the more diverse data set you have, in this case, is going to be bad because you can't really cluster things objectively, right? Is that,
Yeah, and again, we can see that HTTP scan is honest. It says, you know what, I don't have enough evidence to put this in a cluster, so it doesn't force to group it. It just is That's what you give it as a noise, right?
Yeah, which is awesome for working with LLMs, right? Because you could give the HTTP scan data to the model and say, "This is the data. Don't hallucinate. Use this data." So that way, you're not asking the LLM to do it on the fly because it'll hallucinate 100% of the time, probably because it's a complex ask. So, yeah, awesome. Yeah.
and
Oh, go ahead.
I also think it would be like the best we could do with around 2 to 3 thousand rolls would be around like, yeah, 30-40%. So as we go, I'm guessing we're gonna get more jobs and more ingestions with description. So hopefully by the end of the 12 weeks, we could get something around 1.5K
Yeah, I'm gonna
or
run.
something
I'm
like
gonna
that.
run it weekly probably. So we'll try do another fresh run and probably get another. Hopefully, we don't have as many with Well, there's the fix for the PRs that are open that for the skills description, right? I think you have the skills description or the
Yeah,
job description fix. So hopefully next one we'll get much more jobs that are actually normalized. Um,
yeah,
but yeah. So on and also what I think helps us too is that we're really focused on IT jobs, right? So that kind of helps with the clustering too because it keeps the scope narrow. If we just open this up to search all jobs, then the clustering would be need much more data, right? Is that
yeah.
a safe
Since it's
assumption?
a broader net.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you both. Yep. All right. So yeah, Juan and Enrique, neither one are here to be able to share right now. So we'll go ahead and move on from them. So this is the cost summary. So you guys might not have all the data here in the link views because I just had you run like the small 3 batch here to look at cost summaries. But you could look at the cost audit log that was pulled in, and really this is basically just a query with your agent, and you can figure this data out because it's saved in the log on the database. But really, we're not going to fill this in here. But as part of your findings, if you could put this in the database for your sections, and just kind of fill this in, and if you don't know the answer to this, probe the tables to find it. So you just have a better understanding of what things cost to run. So you know every time I run processing loop.py on 25 records, it's going to cost about 77 cents, right? And then as we go into next week and we even have more LLM stuff added in for generation, you know, it might start costing upwards of $1 for per 25 jobs. So I just want everyone to kind of have a sense of what that costs, like for the pipeline run, but also the contribution for each of their individual pieces that they're building. Because it's really important, especially because we're using agents to code, like understand how that's working, and then think at a high level of how I can optimize that, right? Maybe I can make it cheaper, or maybe we could have a couple of helper functions to trim down our descriptions, not descriptions, excuse me, but our prompts, so we're not like handing so much tokens over, so we can reduce cost a bit there. But just think about cost optimization and look at that holistically, right, across the project, but also on the individual parts we're looking on. So that's just kind of a side project, and just share the numbers, you know, and you could use your agents to query the database to do that. You don't have to do any kind of special data analyst knowledge. Just tell it to query specifically, you know, the database to find the information. So this again is just like a retrospective. So I just want to ask you guys, you know, what worked well this week, what was harder than expected, and what should we change if anything. And I will have that survey posted by tomorrow as well for the next weekly survey.
I
So I
can
was,
start. What I really liked was the cherry pick. I think that went very smoothly. We should if we're gonna be integrating next week, I think we should take that in mind, right?
Yeah, just adopt that as a standard, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, for me, what worked really well was a clear definition on our goals, and specifically for each pair. Like since we've been doing paired work, and sometimes even for example with Bray and me, and then Fatima and Nestor sharing some of the functions. I think it worked really well to like have everything laid out so that we know what we need to work on and don't overstep over other pairs' work or the other people's work.
Yeah, it's a yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good insight too. I like how you because I know it's easy to like create something else because you need it, but it's somebody else's work, so it's like then you have merge conflicts, and then what's used are yeah. Um, Yeah, so we'll definitely I'll integrate the cherry pick as part of the process. What about the issues? Did you guys like did the labeling the issues with like the pairs and the labeling it collab? Did that help at all to make those stack out? Are you guys really referencing the issues page at all, or looking at issues in that in that respect?
Yes, I think the issues worked really well. It's just easier to visualize at first just what you have to do and who you're sharing it with, especially when you're working with different pairs. I think that was really helpful. Well, at least in my case.
Yeah, I found it helpful, but from more of like a lead perspective though, because I could just come through and look and see, okay, we have these collaborative repo like issues, stuff like so. It really helped me, and I could just see which pairs are working on it, rather than it just created and then like it's in the content, like in the description. It's just really easy to see this high level. So I liked it a lot better, but I just wanted your perspective on it as well, because I think I'm going to continue doing this. It kind of makes it a little noisier with all the different tags, but I think it's helpful.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's how industry works, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's good. Yeah, it's good that we're learning.
Yeah, because I know when we go into phase two, we will actually move from like we'll be handling our own merge conflicts. We'll be owning more features independently, rather than this crosswork. Really everything's kind of like a phase thing, right? Like first we looked at the framework, and I had the framework set up, and everyone just kind of got kind of shared their critical thought on it and did some design decisions, and then we started building out these agents as a group, so we kind of see how the work goes. And then phase two, we're actually going to flip, and it's going to step back even more, where each individual will work on like a feature, right? But they understand the flow, like from this job intelligence engine, how it worked, and there's other features. There's other engines that need built, and if we could use the agent and have this as a pattern already, we could really iterate a lot. Like we could like 10x our production, even though we are going really fast already. We could 10x our production because we could actually build out agents and just tell it to like emulate what we've built already. Like for instance, they want we have a job intelligence agent. One of the other agents we want is like a education intelligent agent, so we could look at like programs and what skills they're teaching, so we could see the skills gap analysis between like what the industry's demanding versus what is being taught currently, and what the skill gap looks like. So and it could help inform like educators, on what skills they should be integrated into their classroom settings, to keep their students hireable, as things shift in this new climate. So stuff like that. So there's other agents that actually will we're actually getting close to the end here, but I'll share that. And right now it might be a little premature, but we'll definitely talk about it next week, because we're getting towards our last 4 weeks, and I do want us looking ahead so it doesn't feel like it's a curveball when we see it. But so high level things right now. We just deprecated completely the original front end. We wanted to use that at first, but our director and the team has been working on building a front end for what they actually want by talking to clients and stuff as well. And so they have a front end built that they want to show. I don't know how useful it would be. Is it running right now? Let me see if I have it running. But let me share my screen too. Oh, I am. Okay, great. So this is like the rework of the site. I know you guys haven't seen that all yet, but this is basically we'll have AI consulting to where small businesses that want AI solutions built or are interested in looking at stuff, they could come in and tell us about their project, and then there'll be different users in here. So they could open chat and they could say, like, I'm part of the workforce board, right? And then I don't have any of this stuff connected right now on my end. But they could basically, when they say they're the workforce board, basically that's a persona, and all the job intelligence information that has been extracted in our database will be used as context for a workforce board member to ask questions about the data or ask about trends. So, and we prevent hallucinations by having all these engines generate the data by doing, systematic extraction from the data we're pulling in. And so then it becomes a front end that they could talk to and get really reliable answers from. But that's where it's shifting. So this is going to be the front end. So what I'm going to do is, agents is a subfolder inside the original WATEC Coalition website. I'm actually going to pull out into a separate repo. History will be saved and everything. It will just be a matter of, cloning that new repo and continuing the work there. And if you have like uncommitted changes, you could just copy them over. But really, I'll do that, and hopefully, I could do that pretty quickly, and you guys could have everything committed, and then make your new branches off of that new repo, because we're just going to structure things a bit differently. I could, let me just see if I could pull it up real quick, because just to give you a heads up, this is what I'm going to be working on for the rest of the day, is integrating this into how this fits into the next 4 weeks. But let me pull this off screen real quick, so I'm not. But let me see if I can find the diagram. Yeah. So this right here is basically the front end of Workforce Development OS is what she named it. But this is going to be this is like a high level of like how the architecture. So right now we're working on this job intelligence engine. We actually want these other 3 in here, and honestly, I think though you guys could share your opinion on it as well. But I think us working to into where we have dependencies across each other, it actually slows us down a lot when we have agents doing the work, because we have to stop, do check-ins, figure out merge conflicts, and it slows it down to a degree. But it's also good so we understand these things we've been building out. But you can see here these 2 other engines follow the exact same pattern. So now we have, once we get this dialed in and working well, we could basically tell it to emulate the job intelligence engine in this separate engine, and basically build it out in probably a couple days of just prompting, and then using this, and then just going through and looking at the data to make sure things look right. But we could get these all built out. But basically, this is the layer where they choose in the chatbot, like which one they are, kind of. And then these are the layers, the engines that extract data and serve for the front end to read. And then this is the assistant layer. So these are people on our staff, like Jason, he's the business development. So this is he could come in and look at what the hot prospects are. If someone comes in and wants something like a consulting thing where they want to share a project, and then it's also connected to our system called Apollo, which is it keeps track of contacts and leads and stuff. But this demo that Ritu was showing me, she had that all connected in already and wired in, so it could actually be live, and they could help them and use this data as well. So we've just been focusing on the job intelligence engine, but in phase 2, we want to open this up and start building out these other sections. And each person basically will own a section, so that way there's no overlap, and all it is plugging it in once it's complete, on the front end via APIs and stuff. But yeah, so this is and I'm actually in the middle of just wrapping my head around what all this is right now. But it's I watched a demo yesterday of it. Ritu demoed it for me, and it was actually pretty cool. So I hope you're excited about it. This is actually where it actually starts getting interesting, because we'll see outputs and results of how it would work for a consumer.
Nice to get a visual on the entire architecture.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought it'd be helpful too. Yeah, and then. So here, moving on to the next slide, basically, yeah, so the cross-pair integration, issue 188, that worked well. We got feedback already. The cherry picking it in was good. And then dashboard integration, we'll leave this open. We'll leave this issue open until after the merge just to confirm. But right now he shows Angel shows the empty tables because the data is not merged together yet. And then on issue 187, we have the schema sync. We did the MDCs. We'll just make sure that all went smoothly. But then there's on issue 215, this is still open. Basically, when your branches, if you're adding in environment variables, it's important to update the .env example, but also give a shout out in chat too, so people know to add them. So maybe there's defaults set, or maybe they need a key for like Langfuse or something. It's important to share those in chat so people can update, so when they have the code on their local machine, like there's not missing environment variables that are going to throw errors that they're trying to track down. Now it's really easy to, these days it's really easy just to ask, your agent, hey, why is this error happening? It'll be like, oh, you have this, environment variable being referenced, and it's not in your env file. You're like, oh, okay. But still, it's good to just share those and just make sure everyone's up to speed. So I did create this issue for Enrique and Juan. Just they had these. So if you look at this here, let me turn off the presentation. So this is issue 215, and basically their code, they added in these environment variables, and then I just created this issue based off what they are for them to share. But you could basically go drag these directly from here. I told them to share, but they're in the issue. But you can make sure these are in your .env, so that way when we do pull again and everything's merged together, you have these in there. Yeah,
I'm curious, Gary, if you'd happen to know the answer to what I'm about to ask. These environment variables look like constants. Why is it in the environments variable? Can it be if it can be added as a constant, or can it not be added as a constant?
It could be added as a constant, but it's better to do like your config as code. So it's good to have so we have it all in one place in an environment variable, and then we could change it without having to edit code.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like, I don't know if this is kind of new to me still, but I've really heard from my conversations and other projects and people that work. I've never worked for a really large company. It's always been smaller companies. So everything's kind of ad hoc, and you got to figure out systems as you go. But from my buddies and stuff that work at bigger companies, infrastructure as code is like really big. So you basically have like all of your config and everything like separate, decoupled from your code as environment variables. So if you need to tweak things, you can. You don't want to just save them as constants, like at the top, like in the code base. You could I know in my code, like I have like constants named at the top of a file, and then set them there. So then I don't have any magic numbers, but any magic number I'd take and convert to a constant at the top of the file, right? That's kind of like the rule, like good practice, in coding. But the next level
Yeah.
for business is taking it out completely and putting it in like a YAML file or some other file, and they actually have whole like software suites like built around controlling that for large organizations that have multiple projects running, right? So
That
that
makes sense.
yeah. So and then it just like really like just checks for like it just whatever costs or like latency or whatever they want to track, like they know what their metrics are from the what they could expect from the stuff that's saved to infrastructure as code. There's one that I've used before, but I'm just drawing a blank right now. It's actually used for this stuff, and it's actually integrated into AWS is where I used it before. But it's like infrastructure as code, like a whole software suite that's just for doing this kind of thing. But it's better to do in the long run, basically in like a production level environment, to have constants pulled out into config files.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So that's issue 215. So you guys get to be proactive and just go to the github.com and just grab these, and then you don't have to worry about need them. If anyone else has any created, just share them in chat. Like on general, you can just tag everyone. It matter. I don't think anyone else has any environment variables created, but as part of my move, so we are running over. And I'm not even going to look at week 8 right now because I will have week 8 up, but I actually got to spend a few hours kind of restructuring things based on that diagram I was just showing you in the high level look and the new front end. But I actually want to get agents pulled out by Monday and have agents be its own separate repo and can completely decouple it from the Next.js project. And what that will mean is that basically we'll have a new repo, and the easiest thing to do is just to reclone it. I'll add it here. It'll be called Job Intelligence Engine, and then basically everything under agents will be under Job Intelligence Engine. I have this plan that I have Claude helping me work on. I could just show you real quick. Are you guys still seeing my screen? Yeah, okay. But here you can see this is what's pretty much going to happen. This is pretty clean because we don't have anything, but we do have the .environment variables like shared across. And so that's like kind of sloppy, but it's just we were going to use them together at once. So basically agents will become Job Intelligence Engine, and then everything will live like it is underneath it. Nothing will change. And then, I'll copy over the Claude file, all our ADRs that we had and docs that are in the root. Everything will basically be moved to docs under this new repo. And then we'll clean up the EMV so it only has relevant environment variables. This is the agent pipeline only, so then I'll just reshare this, but those will be included. So this will be all cleaned up. So basically you can recopy this, and then from your old environment variable where you actually have the values, you could paste, you could just, in the old project, copy them over and then delete the old project completely, and we'll be in this new cleaned up version to kind of prep for phase 2, and we could follow that architecture better, because I'm going to start setting it up so we have resources actually in the cloud too, but there just needs to be a lot of organization that happens first. But this is like the first step, is just getting this pulled out. But yeah, just like I know that's coming. It's not going to affect your work. You can keep working as is. It'll basically just be an announcement to go clone that repo, and then make sure you commit any work that you have, even if it's broken, and then I could just merge it in, and then I could pull it into this repo, and then you could just pick up in this repo and pull and continue working on the same file you had before. So we'll just make sure everyone's in sync and on this repo instead. And it will preserve all
Sounds
history.
good, Gary.
Yeah, it will preserve all
I want
history.
to mention one thing.
Yeah.
You capture the docs directory that's outside of agents, but the scripts one is also one that we use that we might have to move into the Job Intelligence Agent scripts folder instead.
Yeah, I think that is captured. That's why I got to look it over too, because this is just a quick look at this. Let's see. Did not grab scripts. Yeah, thank you. Yep.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's why I gotta look it over. That's why I gotta spend a few hours looking through it. I actually ran out of tokens earlier to work on this because it's a big. It consumes a lot of tokens doing this because you just gotta look at each file. I ran out of tokens and been doing it, so I was like, I gotta wait till 3. I gotta wait till 3 to do this again, and then I'll probably run out of tokens and have to wait till 7. But I wish I had this unlimited tokens. You know what we could do with unlimited tokens? But yeah. Just an overview, and then this is if we go back one more, like if I just because I'm sharing, if you guys are interested. This is the phase 1. Kind of like what's here in this phase 1, and then evaluation targets for. And all this, but this is just like showing like what's currently existing and what doesn't, like phase 2 expects, and this is looking as the 12 weeks is completed too, like done, and it's so a lot of the stuff that's missing is it's only we're just starting week 8, so there's a few weeks missing still, but just to get my head around it, it seemed like there were some pretty big like shifts, but. I use all these. I create all these like step by step and read through them all, and then refine them, and then kind of build more. Then I build it down into the run books, kind of distill it and make sure it's good as I can, anyways. But this, yeah, if I just walk through this whole, I have this in order. So like structural overview, kind of starts us off at like this is just that image that I showed you, but kind of wrote it into Markdown for the language models, and then the different repos that exist currently, then the fix. This is the new one, but then once this is done, I'll actually drop this repo, and this is how the repos will connect, because right now we do a little bit of reading and writing in the job intelligence engine, but basically we want to have a clear separation where job intelligence is doing all the extraction and writing, and then the front end basically is just a read only, and it's a shared Postgres table. So we could be consuming data for job intelligence engine, and we could be consuming data for the other 3 engines, and extracting it all into our Postgres, and then workforce development front end will use that data for context. Yeah.
Just to clarify, the dashboard, it's already implemented. Is it the Streamlit or not? Right? The WFDOS.
Oh, the dashboard at WFDOS is a completely different context for dashboard. It means like a user profile dashboard. So if I had an account and I could go there.
Yeah, and that's gonna be on the website you showed us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be here. Oh, it's not running again. Did I stop it? No, it's running. Yeah, it'll be here. So right now I don't have a database set up because she created her own database, and I think she emulated ours, but I didn't want to just connect it blindly to ours and like it does not work. So I wanted to look at that, make sure it is the one that's online that she's connecting to when she created this, because she was like a developer manager over developers, and she did development, but like back in the 80s. So she doesn't know a lot of the tools. Like she isn't really comfortable with GitHub and other tools that are more modern from her day. Our director, she was at Amazon in the early stages, and then her husband's like a Victor Ball. He's actually a pretty interesting guy. Completely off topic, but it just reminded me. But I looked him up. But you can look him up on Wikipedia. He's I wouldn't say invented, but like it took a big part in creating wireless technology. But he has a lot of patents and stuff on wireless technology for like wireless internet and stuff. And he's a big infrastructure guy at Microsoft right now. But anyways, they're kind of using their expertise. She uses her expertise. Her husband gives her advice when he can, but he's really busy with his job. But she's building stuff out from what she remembers. But she's using agents, but we got to go back in and like validate like if everything works correctly. Like this works, for instance, and she did a good job of spinning it up, but there's no type safety. Like she went one day, her chatbot was working great, and the next day it wasn't. And I could see the error response was it wasn't returning JSON anymore. It just the bot just decided to return something else, so it was throwing errors. Where we've used Pydantic models, so even with this lift, when she brings this stuff over, we'll want to do a pass and kind of follow the same rigor we did on the Job Intelligence Engine, where we're making sure we're using type safe data structures and everything throughout. So models know what to expect. So you can say, hey, this is what data looks like. This is what the response should look like. Here's the structure. And it will just get it right every time because it's clearly laid out. Yeah, and also in this project I noticed too, I was looking at it, like each saying that. So it's like she has a proof of concept here, but it needs a lot of refactoring. Like to start this project, I don't do it at root. I do it in the portal, which is a student portal, and you can see here it has its own package JSON. So I don't know if you guys have worked with Node before, but I got to do npm install this, and then I got to run this as like a little mini project, and then she has the agents up here, which is actually, it makes sense, but I want to look at structure more too, because we might want to pull a couple of these things out into like different Docker images and use like Docker to run these things, or does it make sense to have them all be part of the same project? But you can see she has all these separate little agents that she created to work with like staff and other people that for the conversation, like the chat bots and stuff. But let's see. Oh, I'm just getting a bunch of errors because it's trying to connect to a database that I don't have set up yet. But yeah, just a quick snapshot of what's coming. Is there any questions? I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.